Hey guys, LevelCap here, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Gaming. It's been an exciting week for Battlefield 5. The introduction of Squad Conquest went over relatively well with players. It joins Frontline Small as one of the game's more tactical modes, giving strong players a better chance to mount comebacks and dominate other teams. As for Company Coin, it seems like DICE have finally fixed accrual for all players. You should now be earning Company Coin every match as intended. DICE has also successfully retroactively rewarded all players the Company Coin they've missed out since hitting rank 50. I got 130,000, which was very nice, and I can now customize some weapons. The two new weapons we've gotten so far with the Lightning Strike's Tides of War, the ZK-383 SMG and the MAS 44 semi-auto rifle, both slot in well with their respective classes. I did full reviews for each weapon, so be sure to check out those videos if you want to know more. Another major patch is also expected to launch next week. DICE employees have tweeted about some of the changes, and they all look very good. Footstep audio is being lowered slightly to somewhere between the old and current value. The practice range is getting some additions. The long-awaited bipod and vaulting improvements will finally be implemented. Vaulting over small objects should be basically seamless now. A better prone blocking system is being added to prevent players from going prone and then being forced to stand up automatically. Joining friends won't fail if you're trying to join a full server. And some of the bugs introduced with the previous patch, like broken revive icons and extended delays in the death screen, should also be resolved. DICE will officially announce the patch notes on Monday. Hopefully we'll get the patch by Tuesday. Unfortunately though, we're still not getting the key time to death bug fixes. These are still in testing to ensure stability once they're launched. They're aimed at resolving things like one-frame deaths and how hyping players are handled on the servers. Probably the most ominous Battlefield 5 news this week is DICE's current stance on the rental server program. In a recent post on the game's subreddit, they said RSP is still on the table, but that it might come down to just not being worth the resources to develop. Battlefield 3 and 4 are both running almost entirely on custom servers at this point, so there's no telling what lack of custom server support will do to the future of Battlefield 5. If DICE adds map voting and the ability to host private servers that other players can join, RSP may not be necessary. That said, it's still a highly requested feature from many players. An issue with Unreal Engine 4 is apparently affecting the rate of fire of weapons in both Fortnite and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Essentially, the frame rate the game runs at affects weapons' rate of fire, so a higher FPS results in essentially higher rate of fire. Likewise, a lower FPS results in a lower rate of fire. Epic are investigating a fix for Fortnite. Hopefully PUBG will also get fixed soon. In other PUBG news, the game's developers have released a new version of the game called PUBG LITE. It's a free-to-play version of the game on PC built to run on lower-end hardware. However, currently it's only available in Thailand as a beta. It includes the game's first map, Erangel, and has its own dedicated dev team. More content and territories will be added, assuming it makes sense to expand the free-to-play version. PlanetSide Arena, the standalone Battle Royale game based on PlanetSide 2, has been delayed till March. It was initially scheduled to release on January 29th. Instead, a closed beta for the game will launch on the 30th, followed by a full release on March 26th. Arena will cost $20 at launch for the standard edition and $40 for the Battle Pass version that gives players access to seasonal content. Pre-order customers get access to all beta phases. Anthem's VIP demo is now live for pre-order customers and Origin Access Premier subscribers. Early reviews mostly highlight the obvious similarities between Anthem and Destiny, but BioWare's flair for controls and gameplay sets them apart as a unique experience. It's certainly a little bit more of a grounded concept compared to Destiny's space fantasy, storytelling, and gameplay, which might make it appeal to more players. In response to requests for a social space, the devs recently added a new area called Launch Bay. Up to 16 players can hang out, get new contracts, reload their weapons, and more. A massive ban wave hit Rainbow Six Siege this week, potentially taking down thousands of cheaters. Some nasty exploits were recently discovered that gave players abusing them an unfair advantage. and that's in addition to the standard aim and wall hack cheats floating around online. It's nice to see relatively swift action by Ubisoft to clean up the game. Open world co-op shooter Generation Zero finally has a release date. It launches on March 26th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Players roam the 1980s Swedish countryside, hunting and being hunted by robotic animals. It's being developed by the same folks behind Mad Max and the Just Cause games. The open world features a full day-night cycle, persistently simulated enemies that remember your actions and carry the wounds of past run-ins. It looks pretty promising overall, though it doesn't seem to have a PvP mode. Overwatch has apparently gotten a silent price reduction. The game has been $40 since the day it launched in 2016. It's now listed for just $20 on the Battle.net store. The game has gone on sale from time to time in the past, but this time the discount seems permanent. It coincides with the launch of the annual Lunar New Year event currently live for the game. The usual offering of new event-themed skins and emotes are available for purchase until the events end on February 18th. Steam will also be offering a sale to celebrate the Lunar New Year. Valve sent out a reminder to devs this week, letting them know about the imminent sale, which should launch sometime early February. The Lunar New Year falls on the 5th this year, so the Steam sale will probably start around then. Hardware leaks from AMD and Nvidia were all the rage this week. Both companies have a ton of new products in the works. For AMD, it's their recently revealed Ryzen 3 series CPUs. For Nvidia, it's the range of GPUs that exclude the RTX branding. Engineering samples of the upcoming AMD CPU have popped up on various benchmarking websites, show a boost clock of 3.7 GHz with 12 cores and 24 threads. It's unclear if the CPU is the base model in the new generation lineup or not. The current generation Ryzen CPUs top out at 8 cores and 16 threads. Hopefully the engineering sample that's popped up is the entry-level CPU, and the more expensive ones offer more cores or boosted clock speeds. As for Nvidia, 2 new GTX branded GPUs leaked as part of an official Nvidia presentation. The GTX 1660 and the 1660 Ti were both shown as part of the presentation. It's likely they'll be based on the current gen RTX GPUs, but without the cores that enable RTX features like ray tracing. Hopefully that also means that they'll offer better performance to cost ratio. The leaked cards will supposedly launch in mid-February. A new gameplay trailer for the upcoming post-apocalyptic Soviet FPS Atomic Heart has been released. It's 10 minutes of gameplay that showcases the game's various environments and weapons. The world looks pretty distinct, especially for the genre. As to what exactly players can expect from the game's story is still a bit unclear. For the most part, it's an alternate history take on the rise of the USSR, but obviously things have ventured quite far from reality. The game is expected to release sometime this year, but there's no firm date yet. Development of Metroid Prime 4 has undergone a pretty major change. Progress on the game hasn't resulted in a product that lives up to Nintendo's quality standards, so they've decided to start again. This time, the series' original developer, Retro Studios, is being brought on to develop in partnership with Nintendo. The game has been hotly anticipated since it was revealed at E3 in 2017. Restarting development means the game won't release for at least another 2 to 3 years. The recommended PC specs for Metro Exodus have been revealed. Unfortunately, they're a bit on the high end. For 1080p 60fps gameplay, players will need at least a GTX 1070 or an AMD RX Vega 56, both of which typically retail for around $400. That said, Nvidia's new RTX 2060 is also recommended. Its retail price should be $350, and despite the limited availability now, they should be back in stock if you buy one now in time for the game's release on February 15th. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. Looking forward to trying out some Anthem for myself and the next Battlefield 5 patch that's dropping next week. As always, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.